Today I'm going to debunk the myth, or at least the nuance, of cooking a steak in a ripping hot pan. So follow me as we turn up the burning. Today we're here to talk about what I think is the myth of the ripping hot pan, or at least a myth with some nuance. So here we have 4 beautiful ribeye steaks. We're gonna be cooking 2 of them. They've been salted for a little over an hour, maybe closer to 2 hours now. You've seen us do this on this channel in the past, and one of the things that we've realized about salting steaks over the years is that if you salt them at least an hour in advance, what will happen is it creates a more end-to-end saltiness as you bite through the steak versus salting it right before or right after you cook. What happens is, first, the moisture starts to rise out of the steak like you'd expect salt to do. But after about an hour or 2, that water begins to go back into the steaks. And that's especially prominent when you do this for at least 24 hours in advance. So we have a couple ribeyes here that we're gonna be cooking with. And also we have 2 identical burners and 2 identical cast iron skillets. As you've heard me say before, I like to consider myself the Tesla of T-bone, the Da Vinci of the meats. So trying to keep things constant. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get these pans nice and hot. And I say it's somewhat of a myth, and we're gonna actually show. I actually think I'm gonna ruin one of these steaks. So I'm doing this for you at home. I'm gonna ruin a $15 steak. At least I think I'm going to ruin it, because when you get into what I would call your average steak, 1 pound, about 1 inch thick, which is what these are, I think we're gonna see one side burn. We're gonna find out. Where I would always keep the heat high is on a very thin steak, right? Where we wanna get that Maillard reaction, that nice color, and we don't risk necessarily overcooking it in the process. So let's go ahead and get these started up. What I have here is an infrared thermometer, so I can check the surface temperature of these skillets right before I drop the steaks in. One pan is going to be ripping hot, and it's gonna stay ripping hot for the entirety of the cook. I think I'm probably gonna set up the smoke alarms. That's my best guess. The other steak I'm gonna cook as I traditionally would, what I would call a medium-high heat. Now, one thing that Julia Child says in her book, Mastering the Art of Cooking, is that it's really up to the cook to sort of regulate the temperature of that pan as it cooks. And she definitely knew. I mean, look, there's gonna be differences in the temperature of the meat. I mean, these just came out of the fridge. There's gonna be differences in the thickness of the meat. There could be differences in the oil that you use, and specifically the smoke point. We've talked about that in the past, and we always want to cook with a high smoke point oil. If we exceed that smoke point, we're gonna end up with a burnt, bitter exterior, and that is no bueno. So we're gonna be using avocado oil for this. You could also use ghee, but something like extra virgin olive oil has a very low smoke point and is going to burn much quicker. One we're gonna keep constant, the other we're gonna fluctuate at about a medium-high heat. One thing you can always rely on when you cook outside of your eyes is your nose. So when that thing starts to burn, you're gonna smell it. You're probably gonna see it too. I am taking a sort of a even heating to these. These are induction burners. So I started them off at a low heat, and then I'm going to turn them up here in just a moment. Right now we are just at about 400 degrees here. And this one's heating a little slower, even though they're set to the same temperature. This one's at about, 310. So we're gonna let that heat up a little bit more. While I'm waiting for those to heat up, I am going to just go ahead and dab off the top of these, get that moisture off the top of the steak. Moisture is the enemy of a good crust. So we really don't wanna have a lot of moisture on our steak. That's gonna prevent that Maillard reaction from reaching its full potential. This one we're gonna leave at the high heat, and this one we're gonna drop it in at a high, and then we're gonna bring that down to more of a medium. What happens is when you drop that steak in, the temperature is going to drop on the pan, right? So that's why I always start high, but then drop down to about a medium. We're not gonna make that adjustment over here, and see how they turn out. Again, I think I'm gonna ruin this steak. We're at about 450 over here. We're starting to see smoke. That might have a little bit more seasoning on it for causing that smoke. We're starting to see the smoke over here too as well. We're also at about 450 degrees. So we're gonna add about a tablespoon of avocado oil to each. Move that around the pan so it coats evenly. Start with this. Okay, now I'm gonna turn this down to a medium-high heat. This one, we're gonna leave it a high heat. And I think we're gonna set up the smoke alarms. Move that oil around. Sometimes with these cast iron skillets, the oil can tend to pool around the exterior. I think that is one of the advantages of using stainless steel. Has less of a concave, convex nature to it. Press them down, make sure they got good contact. So just stepping back, you know, we're starting to see a lot more smoke coming off this one. A lot more smoke, a lot less over here. Let's go ahead and flip both in about a minute. Not great color there, but we're gonna do multiple flips on that. So I think we will build a nice crust as we cook. Over here, a lot more sizzle. A little bit better crust, at least initially. So the difference between these two pans right now is 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This is set at just as high as I can get it to go, at 460 degrees Fahrenheit. This is over here at, I've been rotating it between about 300 and 320, right in there. All right, let's go ahead and give them another flip right over here. Just getting some good crust there. So far, I think we're gonna build that up. And over here, let's turn. Looking pretty good so far. And we're only at an internal temperature of about 95 degrees over here. And really starting to burn. I think we're gonna exceed the smoke point over here. Similar temperature over here, but you can see a lot less smoke. This thing is really piping hot. Also what I'm seeing is the bottom of the pan is starting to burn. I'm starting to smell the burnt oil. I'm getting it right here. It's not a pleasant smell, and it's gonna linger in the house for quite a while. I'm gonna try to pull these off at an internal temperature of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That's my desired doneness, and we're pretty close on both, but this thing is becoming a mess. I'm getting a lot of splatter, too, of that oil outside of the pan. It's all over the floor here. I can see it all over the countertop over here, and it just stinks. The bottom of this pan is beginning to burn now, and I'm starting to see burnt little bits at the bottom. Here we still have that even coating of the oil end to end. As expected, that's starting to burn. Reach temperature very quick too. That one's done, and I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. This one is done too. All right, so these steaks have been resting now for about 5 minutes. Over here, we have the steak cooked over a medium-high heat. Over here, we have the steak that was cooked over a high heat. Matter of fact, I think the heat on that burner could have been even higher, as I sort of learned. But I think if you were cooking this over a traditional gas or electric grill, you had that turned all the way up, it would have even gotten even hotter than our induction did achieve. But you can see right away, this over here has that burnt exterior, right? At the thinner part, it looks about the same, but down here where there's a lot of fat and everything, that just really burnt. Outside of the color of the steaks, I want to just talk about the problems of cooking with a ripping hot pan. As I mentioned, maybe there's like some nuance there. So if these were very thin, ripping hot, you're gonna evenly cook the steak on both sides on a thin steak prior to exceeding the smoke point. We had a lot of smoke in here, so this house is gonna stink for a few hours because of that burning smell. There was a mess factor, so that oil was popping and getting out on the countertop, on the floor, but with that also comes a safety factor too, in that could have popped up and hit my arms, hit me in the face, and that is no bueno. So just some things to think about as you're cooking in a ripping hot pan, and really encourage you at home as you cook to sort of manage that part of the process. Now, the other thing I can tell you is that this one on the ripping hot pan, the internal temperature got away from me. It did, it went from 115 to 135 in the matter of like a minute. Whereas this got a little higher than I wanted to, but it ended up closer at about 130, even with a longer cook time, as I was sort of managing the smoke. So I don't expect this to have a perfectly pink interior. And as we can see, and I do try to be authentic with everyone, that's probably closer to a medium well. Not as much pink as I'd normally like to see. We can see a lot of gray around the exterior, but you can also see that burnt char. That burnt char also showed up in the bottom of the pan. Well, coming over here, right through the same portion of the steak, you can see we have a lot better color end to end right there. So over that high heat, that makes sense, that temperature is gonna rise faster and it's going to be less forgiving as you cook at home. But now it's time for my favorite part of these videos, and that is the taste test. So I'm trying to cut from the same part of the steak. They are both ribeyes, and that actually feels tougher to cut right through that burnt part. Now before I taste test these, let me get something to cleanse my palate. What I expect is a great tasting steak. Ribeyes in general are very forgiving steaks because of the amount of fat, and as you've heard me say so many times on this channel, the fat is where it's at. That's where beef, meat, steak in general gets a lot of its flavor. And the ribeye has no shortage of fat. Matter of fact, for some people, it probably has a little bit too much. It creates that umami, that richness that we love and expect when we eat a good steak. And this steak right here is no different. It has a nice color, a nice chew as a result of the color and the crust, and yeah, I'll take this all day. You may not know that 60% of people prefer the ribeye. That's their #1 favorite steak. I am kind of more of a New York strip guy myself when I go out to eat. It has a little bit less fat to it. I like to chew on it. You're not going wrong with ribeye. But now, let's go ahead and bite into our high heat steak. It's chewier because that overcooking on the edge was greater than this one. So you're definitely getting a little bit more chew than you'd probably want, but beyond that, you're getting the bitterness from a burnt steak. Hey, look, it's no different than burnt toast. It just doesn't taste good. It's not absolutely awful, but I think what happens is you cut into this steak and those burnt bits are gonna end up on your cutting board, and they're gonna end up in the pieces that aren't burnt as well. I think you can see that edge to edge right here. You can see we just have a lot more cooking. It's a tougher piece. If you're cooking a steak at home, I hope we've helped you avoid some common pitfalls that people have when they cook steak in a cast iron skillet. #1 being having a pan that is too hot for too long. The other one is using the wrong oil. You always want to use this high smoke point oil. We've talked about that many times on this channel, but we'd love to hear from you guys. What did we miss in this video? What would you like to add? How do you guys cook steaks or turn up the tasty right in your own kitchen? Let us know in the comments below, and until then, I got some steak to finish. I'll see you guys next time.